When our powers combine.
Got a lot of power, dude. Will you blockhead?
Good morning. Time for breakfast. There we go, breakfast. I slept in. Tired.
12 seconds later.
Breakfast. Hi, Coy. What's the first thing you said whenever you opened the door today?
Oh, good morning.
No.
I'm gonna hit you with a stick.
He looked at me and Wes and he said, "You guys are useless."
Oh, yeah.
Goal for the day, Blue Ridge Parkway, wheels through time. Welcome back to the motorcycle channel. Activia.
Breakfast. Activia.
All right, out here gearing up, getting on the bikes. Guys, I feel like Snow White. Listen to all these birds, man. It's awesome. Made it. Dale's Wheels Through Time, based on the YouTube channel that they have. Pretty amazing. Eric is a fan of the YouTube channel, Wheels Through Time.
Dude, I geek out on his stuff. This whole explanation about this old bike, right? Oh, it's been in a barn for 60 years. He's like, this one's a one kicker. Blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Twists his choke, pulls the choke, and then just walks away from it. It's got like a silver tray, like pure silver tray underneath to catch the oil. It's like, wow, that's so cool.
My favorite thing is like how when he checks the carbs and stuff, he's got like little tips and tricks like for reassembling. He's like, yeah, in order to check if your like float is still good, you're gonna do this, and he'll be like, if there's suction or something like that. It's like, dude, all these little small things that you pick up on just with experience that like through watching the channel is just wild.
Hopefully we get to meet him.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll feel like a little like girl, like when people meet you, like, oh, you blockhead. Like, yeah, just
Eric's the only one that does that.
Yeah,
Good to meet you.
Sure thing, man. I didn't even see you guys come in.
Snuck in on you.
Snuck in, all right.
Apparently it's a
Work
thing
some deal out.
for you to disappear around here. They say there's like secret trap doors and stuff.
Secret trap. They all end in the shop. So
It's a spot to be.
appreciate you being here, man. Jake's been giving you the grand tour.
Yeah, he's been showing us some awesome
I
stuff.
love it, man. Well, there's a lot of history. I'm sure he's clued you in, but everything in here cranks up and runs.
Yep.
There's, I don't know, I never counted, but I think there's about 375 bikes, rare bikes, bikes with great stories. I just finished that one up. And it's a big 80 cubic inch stroker race engine that, you know, has all sorts of special stuff done to it. We pulled the motor apart and it was all like new inside. I mean, didn't show a whole lot of signs of having been used, so I figured put it back together and let's just fire it right up. Well, I kicked and kicked and kicked and kicked and
Sweating bullets.
Oh my God, it was so, I actually walked away from it without getting it fired, and I thought about it all night, and the next morning came in and I was like, oh man, let's just back these carburetor needles out and start fresh, and it fired right up. So
Nice.
it's a linker carburetor is real simple. So you got low speed jet and high speed jet. It's the only two adjustments. And if that low speed jet's screwed in too much, it's not gonna start. Turn and a half out and it fired right up. You wanna hear it run real quick?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
This guy's got the dream job. Yeah. Bro, that was amazing.
One of the things you notice in here, and there's about 375 bikes, there's a huge focus on racing stuff. So of the 375 or so, I think there's 150 racing bikes of various types. You know, the earliest form of racing, you got the board track racers over there, TT and enduro stuff, Class C racing from the 30s all the way in through the 70s or 80s way upstairs. There's endurance racing, 24-hour, coast-to-coast stuff. The hill climb stuff, some of my favorite. It was some of my dad's favorite stuff. The gold one over there off of the hill up on the big platform there, that's number 3 of 24 from Excelsior. Excelsior's built in Chicago. Overhead valve, 45 cubic inch. That bike won the national championship in 1929 and 30, ridden by a guy named Gene Ryan. The blue one in front of it, the blue one's 101. Now what we're looking at here, the big blue 80 cubic inch job, one off, one's a 61 with a chassis development that's undocumented, and the next one is an engine development that kind of is the predecessor to what I'm getting ready to crank up for you. Number 9 and number 10 out of 20 produced, and they're called model DAHs. It's a 45 cubic inch overhead valve. In 1927, see, and what happens is when a manufacturer or 2 manufacturers create an engine size of common displacement, they start a racing class. The AMA starts a racing class. So Excelsior and Indian were the 2 initially, and Indian started theirs, I think, in the early 20s, and then Excelsior 1925 came out with the Super X. Harley at the time didn't have a 45 cubic inch or a 750. So anyway, in 1930, Harley-Davidson eventually developed these. They built 20 of them, and by 1932, they're winning national championships with them. This is number 9, and that's number 10 out of the 20 produced. These bikes were actually found 6 months apart, 100 miles apart in Northern California. My dad found them both in 1994. So we're gonna run the dirty one here. This one is original condition. Like I said, there were 20 of these built. Maybe there's 6 or 8 of them known today. I believe this is the only place in the world that you'll hear one run.
You ride that knuckle over there, put a headlight on it, but starting it though?
Yeah, man, I know.
Just keep it fueled, no oil.
Luckily, with a
Keep it
race,
running.
you only got to start it once.
Yeah.
And you can always park on a hill.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like my rider over here, come on over this way, guys. We'll crank up to 39. You know, if I'm going to take a bike out on a Sunday or a Tuesday and go riding with my buddies in the mountains, this is usually what I ride. So, it sounds good with those pipes, but it's pretty stock engine, and you know it'll.
Pretty mild Camry.
We should put them on Goldzilla. It's like modern stuff. Have you rip that around real quick? See
Yeah,
how-
what are you
see
riding?
It's like 160 horsepower and torque. M8.
160?
Yeah.
That's a lot. A
What?
little bit more, maybe triple. Maybe triple the horsepower. These are original paint tanks for this bike and this bike only.
Oh,
This bike was originally built by a guy named Bill Knuth, or originally raced by Bill Knuth. He was the Harley-Davidson dealer in Milwaukee, and he had a whole hill climb team. He only made like 5 or 6 of those engines. Bill owned it for a number of years, traded it off to Harry Molinar, who was in Hammond, Indiana. Harry's a really famous Harley dealer. And then many years later, our friend Dave from Indiana got this from Harry. So he got this with these gas tanks, and these gas tanks, they fit. They're not factory tanks. These are actually made by a guy named Gene Ryan. Gene Ryan's the guy that raced that gold hill climber in there. We got this about 10 years ago with those tanks, and it was a project that we started moving towards reviving. Well, it's been on this lift it's been on that table for 10 years. I'm not even kidding. When my dad got sick, I jumped in on it and moved it a little further. I actually even got the bike running. We ran it off a bladder, but there was something just holding me up from finishing it. It was weird. I knew about these I didn't know that they were the exact tanks for this. I just figured they were the type of tanks for that. It was crazy. I saw those on Instagram.
Wow.
You know, and this is like in 2015 or 16. You know, I saw them on Instagram, and we knew where they were at the time the picture was taken, but after some inquiries, they kind of like disappeared, you know. So we're like, well,
Heartbreak.
Yeah. So it's like, oh well, but there was something just keeping me from finishing it. So me and Matt reconnected, and we were like, you know what, man, let's see if those things are there. So I don't know if you know Keith Ball from Keith Ball's biker net. He used to write for Easy Rider way back in the day. Keith and Matt know each other real well, and Matt said, hey, I know you know so-and-so. Ask him if he still has these tanks in this picture, you know. Years go by. That was 4 years ago that he talked to Keith about it. Well, 2 months ago, Keith calls Matt up. He says, hey, I was hanging over at, you know, so-and-so's place, and I remember that picture you sent me, and I showed him to him. And he does still have them. You know, they've been in his office the whole time, you know. And I asked if they were for sale. He said, you know what? For the right bike, I'd probably sell them.
How about V-bike?
So, So anyway, the bikes now, I'm at a point where I can actually finish it.
Hey, so I got to twist you real quick about this one. What's going on here?
That's a top secret project.
Ooh, should I blur it? Should we?
You can show it. You guys can get a first look. Every year at Wheels Through Time, we raffle a motorcycle off. It's one of the things that keeps the museum in business.
The raffle you guys have right now is nice.
37 Knucklehead.
Super
yeah,
nice.
I actually got that engine from Mike Wolf from Pickers.
Okay.
And had the chassis to build it all out. Yeah, so this one may or may not be the 2024 raffle bike. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. As you can see, it's a Knucklehead. But then again, it might not be. I might just be pulling your leg.
We were gonna just do a chopper, but after being here, man, I think I want to like kind of go back to original.
With your knuckle?
Dude, it's
man.
inspiring what you've done here, man.
Appreciate
really
that.
inspiring.
Call me, and if I can help, I'll be glad to.
I saw you do a video right here where it was a flathead, totally disassembled, and in like 30-40 minutes went to total assembly, and I'm just like, man, props. That's amazing. Amazing.
Footage. Yeah. No, it's really in the
There wasn't many cuts in it. That's what I was like, man, there's not really many cuts in this stuff.
A lot of it's the preparation, you know. So any engine, you've got sub-assemblies. You've got tappet block assemblies. So you've got two lifters, lifter adjusters and lock nuts, rollers on the lifters that are rebuilt. The lifter block's painted, and then the lifter's sized to the hole in the block. So you get those done, and there's maybe hours of work to get to that point. You can set them on the table and move on to the next thing. Rebuilt generator, rebuilt crank, balance, trude. Ken balances and trues all my cranks for me. I'll fit the rods on the Sun and Hone over there. So rebuilding the crank. Sometimes there's 4 hours, and sometimes there's 15 hours just into building the crank. So setting up the engine cases, there's the cleanup, tapping out every hole, every threaded hole. There's new races, line honed to size. So there's so much that goes into it. In a standard engine, maybe you've got the difficult ones 60 or 70 hours in rebuilding the engine. So, but the actual assembly part, you can have everything laid out and hammer it together pretty quick. So yeah, well, my dad used to rebuild a motor in a night. I'm not even kidding. Wow. He could that same 45 motor. He'd set that thing on the bench at 4:35 in the afternoon. We'd be in the museum 7 in the morning until about 5:30. He'd run up to his house. I'd run to the cabin. We'd mow down dinner in 5 minutes, meet back here, and he'd rebuild that motor by 2:30 in the morning, and it'd be buttoned up, ready to put back in the bike.
Jeez.
Yeah, so having watched that and helped with that was, you know, I'm a lot slower and more deliberate, and I mean, it was all second nature to him. You know, he'd been doing it for so long.
My view is like a lot of the newer stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because we do a lot of performance stuff on like M8s, twin cams, Evos, all that. But for anybody that doesn't know, where can they find you?
So check us out on YouTube, Wheels Through Time YouTube. We also started a Wheels Through Time archives channel. We've been doing streaming stuff since like 2004. So there's a lot of the birth of this place and how it evolved into what it is on the archives channel. And then we're getting to new projects, build projects, restoration stuff, history about what's in there on display on the Wheels Through Time YouTube page, Wheels Through Time on Facebook and Instagram. And I think we probably got a TikTok channel too, but
Dude,
yeah.
think we're all supposed to have one, but I don't keep up with ours, and it's just too much social media these days.
It's a lot to keep track of, but you know what? It's the way the world works today, and it's what lets us share this stuff with people. So.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to continue going through the museum. I mean, you've given us plenty of your time, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, man. I do have one special request.
Yeah.
We've got a Blockhead sticker, so put that
where we at? On
wherever you want,
here?
somewhere. Oh yeah, the lift would be cool. In the shop. I was expecting in a bathroom or something.
There we are, dude.
Clean forearm wipe. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. All right, it's official.
Sick. Thank you, brother.
Of course, dude.
It's great, man.
And just warm up. Yeah? Fuel injected. Fuel injected, all right.
And then spark stuff like you're doing.
Yeah, right? Oh, look at that. All right, ignition's on. Oop.
Dude, to have an appreciation for both like the old stuff, but then also the new stuff, man, it's best of both worlds.
Bike, man. Dude, if this wouldn't get you into something modern, man, something high horsepower, for, you know, holy smokes, dude. The handling on those things is revolutionary compared to what I'm on.
Good meeting you.
Yeah, sure thing, man. Well, glad you guys are here, and don't be a stranger, man.
So it says 1916 Traub. Rare American motorcycle as you ever see. The one and the only Traub remains the mystery. It was discovered in 1967, concealed in the brick wall of a residence in Chicago. Its maker is unknown. All of its parts, excluding the seat, carbon, magneto, appear to be hand-built. None of the parts are interchangeable with the components of the other early machine. The bike is in perfect operating condition and performs flawlessly to speeds in excess of 80 miles per hour. Why would nobody know anything about it? And why would he hide it in a brick wall?
Or he didn't want the technology getting out.
Guy bought 5 row home type apartments. He's fixing them up, and he's going through. He's bought them all at the same time. They should have the same floor plan across all of them. When he gets to the one on the end, 1520 North Paulina Street, suddenly the other 4 have been identical, but this one has more square footage upstairs than downstairs. He takes a closer look and he sees that the downstairs back wall has been kind of pushed forward. A couple bricks come out. He pulls the whole wall down and he finds underneath the dust sheet this motorcycle, pretty much how you see it. So he's no bike guy, so he looks at it, he goes, okay, yeah, wow, an old motorcycle. So he brings the bike down to Suzuki dealership owner Torillo Tachi, and he says, yeah, you know, I found this in a wall in my house. I've never heard of this company before. I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about it. And Tachi kind of stops, looks at it, he says, well, to be honest with you, I know a lot about old bikes, but I've actually never heard of a Traub. And after a couple hours of this, going through all these books and magazines, he doesn't find anything. He says, so I'll make you a deal. If you want to get rid of it today, I'll trade you any motorcycle on my showroom so long as it's a used one. The guy makes a deal, goes home with a used 350 Suzuki Enduro. Torillo Tachi owns this bike. Now he's a lot like us. He wanted his collection to run. So he does like the pre-flight check on this bike, gas, oil, is it getting spark, and sees that it should be in runnable condition. So he goes through it and he fires it up and he immediately goes, oh no, we got to shut this off because it's got a rod knock to it. It's just plain worn out. It sat in the window of his shop as a display and conversation piece for 10 years or so. Bud Eakins, Steve McQueen's stuntman, buys it.
Oh wow.
Goes to California, sells it to another California collector. We got it from Richard Morris, that second California collector. And the 3 questions you probably want to know still hadn't been answered, which is who built it? Why is it behind a brick wall? And how come no one's ever heard of this brand, company, or man, Traub, before? So we started doing the same search Tachi did when we got it. We went through all the archives, all the records, all the everything, looking for any, just that word, anywhere in the context of motorcycle. And we didn't find anything. What we did find that isn't seemingly directly related at first was a letter written in 1907 to a motorcycle magazine. Guy talks about how he built his own bike from scratch
and his name is Richard Trout. His address is 749 North Paulina Street. So one letter off, 10 years before, like 5 blocks away. So we wanted to see if that guy had any connection to this company in some way. So with that, a date and a name and an address, that's enough to start searching through the census. So we searched for Richard Trout in the 1910 and 1900 census, and no man exists. If you change the T in Trout to a B, and you put it in the same address in the same census search, you get Gottlieb Richard Traub, who was living in North Paulina Street and had 2 jobs in 1910. He's a motorcycle repairman and a self-described experimental machinist. That's the guy. So with the name, we could do more searching on his life, and we wanted to see what living relatives does this guy have that we can go ask about this bike, and there are none. He had no kids, his sisters, no kids, his brother, no kids. So unfortunately, there's no one you directly related to this bike that you could ask about. But thanks to the census, you do get a good snapshot of his life every 10 years, and you can kind of piece together something that makes sense as to the other 2 questions. A couple things to note about Mr. Traub. He's poor, flat poor, dirt poor. Lives actually in the building where they found this bike, 749 and 1520 North Paulina Street, same building. They renumbered the streets. So, believe it or not, that took 20 years to figure out.
Wow.
I think Mr. Traub was pretty aware that this bike was going to be scrapped if he didn't hide it in some way. So if you can't take it with you when you move, and you know it's going to be scrapped, your only other option is kind of hide it. And I really think that's what he did. It's a guess, but it's the best guess I've got up here. There you have it. This is the world's rarest motorcycle found behind a brick wall.
All right. Fired right up. It's got a manual oiler, so we're going to turn the oil on. Sight glass down at the bottom. Just listen to that thing purr. It's got great rhythm. Runs absolutely flawlessly and just makes great power for a 19-teens era motorcycle. Bike will probably cruise 70, 75 mile an hour with relative ease. What a machine. World's rarest motorcycle right here at Wheels Through Time. Time to take it for a ride. What a machine. It just runs so perfect. One of the rarest machines anywhere, the 1916 Traub. You guys heard it run right here at Wheels Through Time.
Nothing like riding motorcycles in the mountains while it's raining. Hell yeah, brother.
How funny is this? The one guy that preaches about rain gear, proper planning prevents poor performance. Get stuff together last minute, especially this guy. Leaves his at the hotel.
Where's your rain gear, bro? You left it?
Thought it was on the bike because I couldn't find it in the hotel, so I was like, oh, it's on the bike.
When our powers combine.
Adventure time.
There we go. So we made it back from Maggie Valley, Wheels Through Time, Blue Ridge. I wish it wasn't wet. I mean, it was super cool, the aesthetic of like riding on the mountain and like being in the clouds and stuff, but it does suck for like being able to lean over and whatnot. So that just means we have to come back.
Dang.
Yeah. Oh, darn. All right, so what'd you think of today's ride?
It was pretty cool. Yeah, if it wasn't rainy in the beginning and like wet, and I think it would have been more fun. Probably a little more stressful because we would have been going faster, but at the same time, like more stressful because it's wet. So maybe the same. Oh, that was way more than I expected. Going in there and like all the stories about the bikes and where they came from, the fact that they keep 99% of them running.
Justin, what'd you think?
It was fun. I think I became a better rider in the last 48 hours. Going in the mountains was pretty sick too because I've never done that before. We were literally like, it was raining, then it was like complete fog for a moment. Like literally could only see what, 20 feet?
The person in front of you.
Yeah, 20 feet ahead of you. And then it's just beautiful, you know, on top of the mountains. Like it's definitely worth it. And I'm happy that we didn't let the rain stop us from riding today. Cause I was in the boat of like, yeah, we could just go home. But I'm glad we did it. It's cool to do this with your homies too, because your homies push you through these things. So it was awesome. It's a good experience.
That big rain cloud looked like the day was over. Yeah. And then we were like, all right, let's hit the Blue Ridge.
Wait it out.
He was really mad.
And I was like, man, it looks like no riding today. But you know, next thing you know, we're on the Blue Ridge and it was a fun ride, you know?
The riding today, I thought it was done today as well, like Greg was saying. I was like, yeah, we're done. That was epic. We got to go to his personal shop in the back. And then the sticker, Blockhead sticker on one of his lifts, bro.
Yeah, it's sick. I didn't expect that, man. That was, super nice of him. I did not expect that at all. All right, food's here, so we're gonna eat and wrap it up here in a little bit.
Arby's.
Going through the footage, doing the edit, realized we didn't have an ending on it, but we ended it at Arby's, saying like, oh, we're gonna go eat some food. So then Justin comes up and he's like,
Yo, I'm craving Arby's, dude, so we gotta get Arby's, so.
And the perfect transition. So transition into Arby's and then out of, and we're back in Florida. Big thanks to everybody at Wheels Through Time for the hospitality and for the tour. Hope you guys saw some really awesome bikes in this video, bikes you liked. Do us a favor, drop a comment down in the comments below. Let us know what your favorite one was. I think mine was probably the, like that race knuckle that he cranked up.
Yeah, that was like a first time for me to see old Harleys and hear them, because at the Harley Museum in Milwaukee, they don't like crank them up there. So to see and hear them.
The museum that runs.
Right.
Always cool to see like some, bikes that are that old to crank up and run it. And then he's like doing burnouts like in the shop, which was just freaking nuts. Really, really cool experience. If you guys are up there in Maggie Valley, highly recommend stopping by, taking the tour, checking it all out. Super cool for him to get on and ride Goldzilla. Our shop is very modern, working on Milwaukee 8s, like the latest stuff, tuning, doing lots of crazy design and stuff on these builds that we're doing here at Blockhead Garage. If you guys want to book service in your local, blockheadgarage.com, come say hi to Zuko. Older stuff, we do have some connects. Drew at Freak Show Fab. I don't think the guys at Wheels Through Time do service or anything like that. It's just a museum that they maintain, but super awesome, well worth stopping by, highly recommend. Also, for those of you that don't know, on older bike note, we are giving away a 1960s Harley-Davidson Panhead that we're doing half shovel, half pan, so we're calling it a show pan. We're building that in collaboration with Drew at Freak Show Fab. Here's a picture of a Panhead that we actually rebuilt with him recently. Came out awesome, and so it's gonna be that level or better. So if you guys wanna sign up for that, head over to blockheadmoto.com, sign up, select a tier, and you guys are in. You also get access to our Discord, early access to episodes, and discounts on merch. Lots of other perks in there. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, do us a favor.
Hit the like, hit the thumbs up, because it lets YouTube know that we're doing a good job. Hit the bell icon if you want to continue to see motorcycle content and hang with us, because it's super fun. Subscribe, and catch y'all on the next one.
Good job, bro. All right. Cheers. Also, hit subscribe for Zuko, because he's been such a good boy.
No.
Not me, him,
That's
over
right.
there. Look
Zuko.
over there.
I said it was me. Okay. Yeah.